Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying.
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com.
Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm Josh Guesman along with Wendy Thomas, and on today's show we have absolutely nothing to talk about. Seriously, it was just a slow week. We got nothing. All right. We'll be recapping the 3-3 draw that saw Brian Rowe have a howler of a game with soccer analyst Brian Dunseth. Then we're going to talk about the big news of the day, of course. Landon Donovan is back with the LA Galaxy. So what should we expect from the captain? And finally, we're going to get you ready for the LA Galaxy's game with Orlando City on Sunday. And if the tech allows, we'll take your calls as well. It's a packed show, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, and it all starts right now.
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Now here are your hosts, Josh Guesman and Wendy Thomas.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Josh Guesman, Miss Wendy Thomas with you once again on a very busy Thursday. Good Lord. Here I thought it was going to be just one of those nice, relaxing recordings. We'd get to moan and complain about the LA Galaxy dropping points in Real Salt Lake, and we're certainly going to get to that. I promise you that, but obviously the big news, Landon Donovan coming back to the LA Galaxy, and we're going to have tons of opinions on that as well coming up a little bit later in the show. But Wendy, first, I always have to start with you. How are you doing? You recovered? Have you recovered?
Oh, my goodness. I woke up this morning thinking we were going to talk about RSL, and what do you know? There's a new player coming back to the LA Galaxy.
Yeah, I know. It's different. I didn't listen. People ask me right away, sort of off whenever people text me about these things and stuff starts breaking, if I was surprised by it. And sometimes I am surprised, and sometimes I'm not surprised. I will tell you this right now, Wendy. This morning I was completely surprised. Had no idea what was going on. I saw a tweet that came out, and obviously we're gonna go over the timeline and everything. But I saw a tweet come out in the morning. I immediately got on the phone, started calling, texting people to find out if it was true, because it seemed like it might possibly be true. And lo and behold, very, very quickly, by 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon, the LA Galaxy made that official. And so Landon Donovan back with the LA Galaxy. We're going to have a lot of reaction from that coming up. But we have to first look a little bit at Real Salt Lake and the LA Galaxy and what happened on Wednesday night in Sandy, Utah, when the LA Galaxy are up 3-1 with like 26 minutes left to go.
Well, so I did say before the game that I thought it would be a very good measure of where the Galaxy are, because I don't think that against 10th ranked Columbus at the StubHub Center when they're without 5 starters was the best way to tally, where the LA Galaxy are in terms of their capability to compete for silverware at the end of the 2016 season. This was a better test. RSL has not lost a game at home this entire season, and we were just a whisker away of breaking that record, and yet we came up short after late in the game yet again.
4 times, Wendy. I did it. I counted them. The LA Galaxy have given up 4 goals after the 90th minute, or the 90th minute or later. All right, and those were games where the outcome changed. I think they gave up a goal, to Columbus in the 2-1, but the outcome didn't change, so I didn't count it. So the LA Galaxy, realistically, in 4 games, have left 6 points on the table because of a goal that was scored the 90th minute or later. Good news is, every single one of those goals happened on the road. The bad news is...
Yeah, and I will say, actually, I found it to be a pretty entertaining game. And I mean, in terms of there was goals. We haven't seen a lot of LA Galaxy goals recently. And we had several LA Galaxy goals. That was good.
Right.
We had Sebastian Lletget, even though he was playing with both Big Red and Bajio Husidic, you would note Sebastian Lletget was actually playing as a central midfielder for much of the game.
Yes, he was.
And once again, he did a really good job. So there's that as a positive take. On the other hand,
Oh, you forgot the best positive take, really, I think, of the night is Giovani dos Santos did more running in this game than I think I've ever seen him do.
I did see him break a sweat. I did see.
He was visible.
Giovani dos Santos sweating. It was weird.
He was visible. This was the game. That's what we. Hey, Gio, listen. This is LA Galaxy fans. I'm going to speak for all the LA Galaxy fans. Do more of that, please.
Yeah.
All the time.
Do more of that stuff that you were doing last night. More of that stuff. We want to see more of that stuff.
And then the negatives were obviously Brian
Well,
Rowe.
Josh, after the game, I counted up the Team Wendy hashtags, and they were pouring in from all corners of the Twitterverse.
They were. I think I actually said Team Wendy at one point, so I'm not far away from you. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and play. We're going to be joined by Brian Dunseth. He was there calling the game for Real Salt Lake. I wanted to get an outside perspective on this game because I feel like sometimes we're too emotionally involved, Wendy. You and I.
We are.
We get a little emotional, so I wanted Brian Dunseth, obviously calling the game for the other team, to give us his best possible take on what he saw from the LA Galaxy and Real Salt Lake. So what we're going to do, this is not normal. We don't normally do this. We're going to take a quick break, and whenever we get back, Brian Dunseth will be joining us. All right? So don't go anywhere. You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Brian Dunseth right after the break.
Take me to your place. No, it's not too late to turn a scream into a whisper. Loveless and annoyed. Let me feel.
Recording from CoG Studios and not their mom's basement, it's Corner of the Galaxy.
Welcome back to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Wendy's going to take about today, other than Brian Rowe's horrific, horrible mistakes that he made to allow this 3-3 game with Real Salt Lake. But before we even do that, I don't want to bury the lead, and I'm just joking around with everybody. Landon Donovan, obviously, something that we're going to be talking about a bunch on the show later, but I wanted to get your thoughts on Landon Donovan coming out of retirement back to join the LA Galaxy for the remainder of the 2016 season.
Yeah, first and foremost, this only happens with Bruce Arena being the head coach.
Right.
It checks all the boxes for all the right reasons. First and foremost, let's talk about off the field. There's only two guys that really sell Major League Soccer as an overall brand, and that's David Beckham and Landon Donovan.
Right.
On the field, I don't care if you tell me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. You're winning, you're losing, you're chasing the game, you're holding on with the lead. I want Landon Donovan, even with 18 months retirement. I still think, and I was talking to Chris Klein about this on SiriusXM earlier today, that Landon Donovan is one of the very few players that I've ever come across, we've ever come across, that you can take him out of the game, and he immediately comes back training, and it's like he never left.
Right.
He's like Frankie Hayduck athletically, where he never has any type of lactic acid in his body. He is a freak of nature physically. And yes, while he won't be able to play 6 or an hour off the bat, his technique, his touch, his vision, his understanding of the game, his savviness both with and without the ball. I feel like I'm talking about him being left off the World Cup team in 2014. There's nobody else that I want turning to the bench other than Landon Donovan. At this point, back then in 2014, I think it's a genius move for the LA Galaxy to be able to replace Giovani Zardes and the impact he's had with Landon.
Yeah, I mean, that does it. Almost is that like for like there, or you could put Landon up at striker as well. So if the LA Galaxy, a team that has been struggling to score goals, not in the RSL game apparently, but in other games has been struggling to score goals, it certainly could be a positive. And you got to play with Landon Donovan. Obviously, we talked before you came on. You finished your career out in 2006 with the LA Galaxy. Landon Donovan on the team as well. I mean, what can you say about him as a teammate?
As a teammate, he's a guy that you want to go to battle with. The reality is Landon was always the best player on the field. I know there's a lot of different approaches with Landon Donovan in terms of what the perception is. Is he the best player? Is he soft? Is he tough? Ultimately, how will everyone define him? The reality for me is that Landon Donovan on the field and as a teammate inside the locker room, you'll get a jump from his teammates because they respect him, that they want to play with him, and he will strike the fear of God into opponents because he does something just a little bit different.
Right. No, it should be interesting to see. We'll see how much playing time Landon gets here down the stretch. LA Galaxy with just 6 games remaining. But of course, I brought you on to talk about the game that you called last night for Real Salt Lake. It was the LA Galaxy traveling to Sandy, Utah to take on Real Salt Lake. The 3-3 draw. Your overall impressions of what seemed to be, at least on television as I was watching, a playoff atmosphere and 2 teams who did not like each other.
Absolutely co-sign on all of that. I'm still I had an inhaler today, just trying to catch my breath. Because it was one of the most exciting games. First and foremost, let's put a feather in the cap of Bruce Arena and that starting 11 because I thought that they were fantastic without the likes of Robbie Keane, Giovani Zardes, Jelle Van Dam, Stevie G, and Nigel de Jong. That group of players looked incredibly hungry. They were up for it from the get-go. And I said in the first half, and I kind of got it co-signed at halftime with Kobe when he walked over from the booth. That was the most running that I've ever seen Giovani dos Santos do in the first 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And in the second half, it tailed off because of the defensive running they were kind of chasing. But he was so good last night. 2 goals and an assist. That ball to Emmanuel Boateng, the way he made Hamilton Olave bite. It was such a fantastic performance. And they'll be disappointed overall because they let that lead go. It'll feel more like a win for Real Salt Lake. But, man, that for me, that sends gigantic warning signs across the bow of any team that the LA Galaxy is about to face, knowing how much depth they have and how good some of these younger players are.
Yeah, I think it's an important perspective to see it from your side there, Dunny, because if you talk to LA Galaxy fans, they're so heartbroken over the fact that LA lost 2 points, and granted, this was the 4th game the LA Galaxy have allowed a goal in the 90th minute or later to have or to allow or change the outcome of the game. So there's basically 6 points the LA Galaxy have lost because of goals that have been scored 90 minutes or later. Not counting U.S. Open Cup because everybody keeps bringing that up. I threw that out for MLS reasons, but yeah, I don't want to think about that any more than I have to as it is. But no, if you look at what LA was able to do again for 2 games in a row now, the Columbus game, yes, Columbus also missing a ton of people and they were depleted, but the LA Galaxy's depth shined there. You go against RSL, who I think has a very, very good team. These teams are going to battle out for the playoffs as this comes down the wire. These were two teams that went, head to head and strike for strike for sure for the second half. The first half maybe was a little boring to some people. The second half was take all my money. I'll watch a soccer game with that 45 minutes every single time.
Yeah, people talk about the quality and the standard of Major League Soccer and say it's not good enough. But I would argue if you made that game a little blurry, you couldn't have, with the atmosphere inside the stadium, the quality on the field, I think you would have a tough time saying that that's not a game of the highest level, even with all the big name players missing. I thought it was an incredible collective performance from the Galaxy, regardless of the result, once again. But yeah, man, I mean, listen, for me, I referenced it during the broadcast. What is it? 4 of the last 6 years, LA and Real Salt Lake have met each other in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This was just a soft, subtle little appetizer of what is going to happen here in the near future. Because it's a hell of a matchup. And like you said earlier, two teams that, quite frankly, just hate each other when that whistle blows. And I love heroes, but I love villains even more.
Yeah, it can be fun, and it certainly is. I think one of the most underrated rivalries in Major League Soccer because it seems like it's this all the time. Let's turn to some of the individual play. I want to talk about Jameson Olave. Didn't have a good night for Real Salt Lake. Made a lot of Galaxy players look very good. Also, there was the possibility that he should have not even been playing in that game after sometime in the first half where he threw a punch, or at least what looked like a punch, against Daniel Steres. But the Galaxy at least seemed to have his number on the night.
They did. And I said this also during the broadcast. It's for all the good that Jameson Olave has done over the last probably 4 to 5 weeks or so, coming on and getting minutes. There's a significant concern, I think, after that performance, because Aaron Mond is out for my expectations the rest of the year. Justin Glad has been phenomenal, him and his partnership with Mond. But now with Mond out and Glad kind of picking up some niggling hamstring injuries. Schuler wasn't available despite being signed in the window, coming back up from Real Monarchs after getting himself healthy. And they were playing Chris Winger. Olave, I would not be surprised, and I have no information on this yet, but I would not be surprised if the disciplinary committee took a hard look at Jameson Olave.
Yeah.
And sometime tomorrow we heard something, because I didn't see it in real time. I saw it in the replay,
Right.
And I said during the broadcast, he's very fortunate that was the color he received, because it very easily could have been a red card. In this league, hand to face, 99 times out of 100, you're going to see the referee go back pocket. This was the one time out of that 100 that Jameson Olave was able to get away with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, we have to turn our focus and at least get an outside perspective on Mr. Brian Rowe, somebody who I am very high on. My co-host is not, Wendy is not as high on Brian Rowe, and I can understand why sometimes with a performance like last night. I would say it's a little out of character for Brian Rowe. 2 horrendous mistakes. I mean, just absolutely horrible mistakes, but led to 2 goals there. What did you think of Brian Rowe's performance, and what have you thought of him over the season so far?
Unfortunately, I think for goalkeepers, anytime the ball hits the back of the net, there's going to be constructive criticism and heavy negative criticism when it comes to that position. I think this year Brian Rowe's been very, very good. I mean, 0.89 goals against heading into the match. 7 shutouts on the season. I think he's been incredibly consistent in the big scheme of things. You hope that last night was a one-off.
Right.
I was talking to a couple goalkeepers today. None of them can figure out why he would let the ball bounce. I understand it was a time-wasting, just trying to take some seconds off the clock. He never saw Plata.
Nope.
I mean, hell, who can? He's about 3'2" and 104 pounds sopping wet.
Right.
But Plata came out of nowhere. So that was out of character. And then the last second goal, I was getting my chops busted on Twitter because I was saying right at the end of the death of the game that Real Salt Lake and Burrito Martinez should send a gift basket to Emmanuel Boateng for taking his sweet time coming off as a substitute.
Right.
Because in my mind, Chris Penso probably added that fourth minute instead of the 3.
Yeah.
With all those goals scored. But yeah, I mean, listen, Burrito, he didn't get much weight behind that shot. I saw it again about 20 minutes ago as we were doing our TV show up here in Salt Lake, and it almost took a double skip on the way in.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw it the entire way, but it just skipped in underneath him. Brian Rowe will want it back at every single opportunity, and I feel for him. But yeah, I mean, I saw Bruce immediately turn, drop an F-bomb, throw a pen, and I was just imagining in my head what that sound was in real time.
Yeah.
It's disappointing for the team. I thought they deserved the 3 points. At the same time, I think it says a lot for Real Salt Lake to be able to figure out a way to climb back into the big scheme of things in a result like that.
Yeah, a big, huge draw for them. Keeps the undefeated record at home for Real Salt Lake, which is something the LA Galaxy still have to defend as well. So overall, again, I think I mirror a lot of your sentiments on the LA Galaxy. I think that overall they actually played very well, and especially with this quote unquote replacement lineup that is being played right now, 2 games in a row, they've come out fighting, and I think that's all that you can really ask for. The drop points is gonna hurt so bad. Could have been in second place all by themselves right now, but that's the way. Where can we find you this weekend, Dunny? You have anything to plug? Because it's all yours right now.
Yeah, I'll be up in Portland, Real Salt Lake, Portland, and then next week getting back on the horse. Europa League, little Bundesliga next Friday, and then Terrace Club opening up the holiday orders. So it's going to be a fun one.
Absolutely. Sounds great. All right, Dunny, thanks for stopping by. Certainly appreciate it as always, and I'm sure that we will catch up before this season comes to an end once again.
Always, man. Anytime you need me, I'm always there for you.
All right. Thanks, Dunny. All right. There's Brian Dunseth. You can follow him at Brian Dunseth on Twitter. Whenever we get back, Wendy's going to join me once again. We're going to get back talking some Landon Donovan and get her thoughts on this 3-3 draw with Real Salt Lake as well. Got a bunch still more to come. You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Hey, everybody listening on our live show, want to point out that you can, of course, head over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Head over to cornerofthegalaxy.com/shop. Click that shop button, and you can get your very own damn pin or one of our remaining magnets. Stock is going fast. We always appreciate your support. cornerofthegalaxy.com/shop. You help us out. You get something cool in return, and you help spread the word about our show and everything that we do. We always appreciate it. All the volunteers here do. So, again, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com/shop. And we'll be sending those orders right out as soon as we possibly can. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
Ready for some more Corner of the Galaxy? Don't forget to head over to the website for all the latest podcasts, news, and more. Visit us online at cornerofthegalaxy.com. Recording from deep within Landon Donovan's secret Cambodian lair, it's Corner of the Galaxy.
Hey, this is Chris,
This is Eddie.
This is Jason.
and we're from Back Pocket Memory, and you're listening to Corner of the Galaxy.
Welcome back to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Hey, that drop is actually relevant again, which is interesting. I want to thank Brian Dunseth for coming on the show. Again, as always, he's a great guy to talk to, so always super busy, always seems to have time for us, though. But now, it's our turn to talk about this LA Galaxy game and the RSL game before we get to Landon Donovan and all of the stuff that's going to be involved with that. That's coming up in just a matter of minutes here. We wanted to finally just recap and get over this RSL game. So, Wendy, you heard Dunny's interview. He seems to think the LA Galaxy played well. I think overall, as a group, I think they did play well. Scored 3 goals. Created offense when they needed to. I thought the defense was okay. There were some mistakes clearly by Leonardo and Daniel Steres, possibly by Robbie Rogers not shutting down that last shot as well. But on a whole, very, very adequate performance from a team that is missing so many starters. And so I'll start there and see where you take it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Brian was correct in that the most impressive part of the LA Galaxy's performance is when you consider what was not on the field. Specifically, we were playing without Steven Gerrard, Robbie Keane, Gilles Van Dam, Gyasi Zardes, Nigel de Jong. That's basically 5 of the highest profile and best players for the LA Galaxy did not take the field.
Right.
And so from that respect, it's an extremely impressive performance because it means that you're fielding essentially a second-string team against RSL, which, unlike Columbus, is ranked second, right? So, and a team that has not lost at home in 2016. So, you know, it's a really competitive team that the LA Galaxy was able to take all the way to the final seconds and what looks like was going to be an away win for the Galaxy. Now, unfortunately, we let it slip. You and Dunny talked about Brian Rowe and how he contributed to that. And also, I would like to point out that, you know, it's easy to lay it on the goalkeeper, but the center back performance from the LA Galaxy was not strong. It was, in general, you know, we fielded Leonardo and Daniel Steres, who I think are our 2 weakest center backs. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I don't know what the decision was, why AJ De La Garza didn't play. I assume it's because he did play against Columbus and he is going to play against Orlando. And so the thinking was if he's going to play 90 in both of those games, you don't want to put him in. But the LA Galaxy, every time we put Leo and Steres in as our center backs, you know that there's going to be goals for the other team because defensively they don't have the acumen, I would say, the soccer IQ, if you will, to put together a coherent defensive performance. So it's easy to say it's Brian Rowe. And as an advocate for Team Wendy, I would say that Brian Rowe clearly had errors. But if we had AJ in there, if Gilles Van Dam was in there, if, you know, even if Omar Gonzalez was in there, we would have had a much better defensive performance. Because I know that when I watched the LA Galaxy play this season, Ashley Cole intentionally goes out of his way to cover Daniel Steres. And there's been several times in the Columbus game I watched it, I saw several instances where Ashley Cole was there to cover a Daniel Steres gaffe. You cannot tell me that Daniel Steres has not benefited enormously from the fact that the LA Galaxy's left back is one of the most intelligent left backs in the game.
Yeah.
And so I think that defensively, there was problems. However, offensively, as I said, I think Sebastian Lletget at central midfield makes a ton of sense. And it's been, I think, a huge improvement from playing him on the wing. And as you said, Giovani dos Santos he appeared to be wide awake during this game. And was willing to run and do all kinds of things that it's just so exciting to see him do.
Yeah, it was. It was fun to watch all that stuff. I will say for Daniel Steres that he benefits greatly from being partnered with Yella Van Dam. He benefits greatly from being partnered with Ashley Cole and an intelligent AJ De La Garza on the right side. And I think that whenever you don't have AJ in your defense, that you're going to have problems with the LA Galaxy, with the defense, and with trying to stop an intelligent team like Real Salt Lake. Now, I know some of you are trying to call. I appreciate that. Unfortunately, it looks like Skype's not going to cooperate with us again. So, of course, on the one night you guys want to call, I mean, I could dump Wendy if you guys wanted to, and then you guys could talk.
You can dump me and call me back.
Maybe that's what we should do. All right, so
Yeah.
how about I'm going to take this 626 call, and you just hold on, and I'll come back to you, okay?
Okay.
All right, 626, who's this?
Hey, what's up? This is David from Eleazar House. What's going on, Josh?
David, how's it going, buddy? It's great to talk to you. What do you got?
Look, man, I just got a call because we just signed a new up-and-coming forward/midfielder, and I think he has a future for the U.S. national team as a number 10.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, you're talking about, obviously, Landon Donovan. I don't know if I think he is going to ever be what people think he's going to be, and I think we're going to talk about that here a little bit more on the show. I want to get your opinion, though, on this RSL game, because we're trying to wrap up the RSL game. Happy with the performance in terms of the team performed. Clearly, there were some serious mistakes.
Yeah, I think overall the team performed well, and they talked about it a lot in the broadcast, and I think you brought it up, that was probably Gio's strongest performance, and it was unfortunately wasted. But, I agree with what Wendy was saying earlier about how Leonardo, especially Leonardo, is not one of our stronger center backs.
Right.
And I just, I'm actually baffled why he's still on the team.
Yeah.
But,
that's always been a question there, David. I'm going to let you go, and we're going to move on to another caller here as well. All right. So thanks for calling in.
All right, man. Good talking to you.
All right.
See you
Thanks.
guys.
All right, let's see how we do all this wonderful stuff. All right, so a little Landon Donovan talk there. A little bit about RSL. Again, Leo is baffling people, Wendy, and I get it. Leo baffles me. I don't know why he plays. The one reason that I think that Bruce played him in this is that Mosisian coming in is a big body. He is somebody who would be able to manhandle AJ De La Garza. Not that I don't think AJ De La Garza can't handle it, because I watched AJ take on Didier Drogba and play him pretty well. Listen, there's a size issue there with AJ. It always has been. But your defense, and I've said it a million times, and you've said it a million times, your defense is better with AJ De La Garza. All right, we got another call. I'm going to go ahead and hit this one real quick. All right, Wendy?
Okay.
All right. All right, 909, who's this?
Hey, Josh, what's up? It's Javi in Texas.
Hey, Javi. How's it going, buddy?
Good.
What do you got?
Being a low voice here. Well, about the RSL game, not to come up with conspiracy theories, but I mean, Gio put in such a good performance, and it seems to happen when Keane's not around.
No, that's a truism right there. That is absolutely 100%. It's a simple answer for that reason, that Gio plays better in his position. That is the simple answer to all of this. So I don't think. What else about the RSL game?
No, I mean, well, he put in a complete performance, and I'm not sure that, and I think we alluded to this a while back, talking on Twitter, but I'm not sure that having all the DPs on the field at the same time is the answer.
Is ever going to work?
What's that?
I was going to say, is ever going to work. I may not disagree with you, by the way, that having all the DPs on the field at one time doesn't work. The only person that it works for, because of the formation they have to play, is Steven Gerrard. And if you're trying to build it around him, then you're failing, and that's not working. And that's why Giovani dos Santos was good at the beginning of this year whenever he was able to play the position when Keane was injured, and that's why Giovani dos Santos was so good in the RSL game. All right, Javi, anything else? I'm going to get back to Wendy here.
No, that's it, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. All right. So a little bit more. I think the key from that is that you look at what you got from Giovani dos Santos in this game, and you can't be disappointed with it, because that is exactly what you want from Giovani dos Santos. You want to see that particular engine, that particular drive. But if Giovani dos Santos is not in his proper position, if you have all of the designated players on the field, Wendy, if you have all of these things happen, then Gio doesn't get to play in his right position, and then Gio can't be Gio.
Yeah, it's the conundrum of the 2016 LA Galaxy season is what do you do with Gio when Robbie Keane is healthy?
Right.
Given that they are like-for-like replacements for one another in so many respects. And in one way, being without Robbie Keane is terrible for the Galaxy because over the past 5 years, he's arguably been our most productive player.
Yes.
Maybe not even arguably.
No.
But on the other hand, it gives you a scintilla of what could occur if Giovani dos Santos is allowed to blossom into the player that I think we all know he can be, for the LA Galaxy. And it's an exciting prospect. At the same time, there's this baffling situation of what to do with having both players on the roster. That being said, it's kind of an excellent situation when maybe your backup for Robbie Keane is essentially Giovani dos Santos.
Right, or your backup for Giovani.
It's not the way you want to use 3 DP slots.
Right. No, and see that's even an issue. Okay, now let's transfer. Let's just go straight over. Landon Donovan coming back to the LA Galaxy. I'll give you timeline real quick of how everything happened and all the information that I know, and then it is time to discuss. And yes, 949-734-4217 is the call-in. We're going to do our best. We'll see if we can continue to do this. Hold on, let me get through my timeline stuff. Then you can call in. All right, everybody's antsy.
Josh is awash in calls.
I am. Everybody keeps calling. I'm like, calm down, simmer down just a little bit. I want them, but calm down just a little bit. All right. A tweet from Blake Thompson early this morning comes out saying, hearing from multiple sources that Landon Donovan is close to coming out of retirement to rejoin LA Galaxy for the remainder of the season. Great job, Blake Thompson. You beat everybody to this. I got on the phone. Everybody else got on the phone, and what do you know? Kevin Baxter comes up with the next one saying, yes, this is real. Yes, this is going to happen. Stuart Holden comes in a little bit after this, about 11:25 a.m., and says, I can confirm via multiple sources that Landon Donovan to the LA Galaxy deal. LA Galaxy is a done deal. Listen, about 20 people independently verifying these were actually really happening and things were happening. So, we're on top of it the whole time. Kevin Baxter just came out with Donovan's salary number. Donovan will make $457,500, or at least that's his salary. Hold on, I'll walk you to it. $457,500, which is the most you can pay a player that's not a designated player. So it's the max rate.
But it's going to be prorated.
There you go. So it ends up being about $152,500. This was money, by the way, that was going to Nigel de Jong because he was making the max plus TAM, so that max was always sitting there. So this is money the LA Galaxy have. It's not stressing their salary cap at all. They already had this money in there. All right, so
yes, this is money that was walking around money that the LA Galaxy had in their pockets and could spend since Nigel de Jong transferred to Turkey.
All right, there you go. So 2:30 p.m. LA Galaxy announced that Landon Donovan is coming back. Landon Donovan posts on Facebook at 2:30 p.m. a long "I'm coming back" message, which we can talk about and sort of break down. Now, here's the deal. Landon Donovan, 34 years old, Wendy, has not played in 18 months, roughly. So almost 2 years. It's 2 seasons, roughly. So he hasn't been in training camp. As far as I know, he hasn't been training, all right, with the LA Galaxy, although somebody did point out he was at training about 3 or 4 weeks back. I don't think this was in his mind at that time if you've read what Landon Donovan put out. Now, at one time, Kevin Baxter had linked the Nigel de Jong deal to the Landon Donovan deal. He has since walked that back. I can tell you that the people that I have heard from have said that these two deals are not related. They're not related in the terms of that they didn't release Nigel de Jong because Landon Donovan was coming in, Wendy. At least that's what it sounds like. I'm not saying that that's 100%. All right.
Yes, I would say that they coincided in time somewhat, but there was not a cause and effect relationship between them.
There could have been a cause and effect. Is that
well, it could have been that Nigel's gone and now you have $150,000, and what can you do with $150,000 with 7 games left? You can kind of say, "Hey, Landon, ever thought about coming back?" You can do that. But other than that, there's not much you can do. But for Nigel leaving, he would not have returned. But it's not that they wanted him to return, and so they made Nigel leave.
Yes, at least that's what it seemed seems like, all right? This is Landon Donovan from his Facebook message. You can go on his Facebook page and read it, or you can go to cornerofthegalaxy.com and look at our article on that as I was tracking this whole deal, which provides you, I think, the most information that I could put together on this. This is from Landon Donovan. He says, 2 weeks ago, I was working as an analyst on the LA Galaxy versus Vancouver Whitecaps match, and during that game, the Galaxy suffered injuries to 3 players, Jelle Van Dam, Steven Gerrard, and Giossi Zardes. Over the next few days, Nigel de Jong was transferred to Galatasaray, and news broke that Giossi would be out for the rest of the season. Since my retirement, I've remained in close contact with many of the staff and players in the Galaxy. I spoke with some of them that week, and they jokingly asked if I was ready to make a return to the field, help fill some void left by the injuries and departures. I reminded them that I haven't played a meaningful soccer game in almost 2 years, and I certainly couldn't fill the holes left by those players. All right, but this is according to Landon, the thing that sort of sparked the idea that he could come back, that he could possibly do it. Now, listen, when you read this, it sounds like Landon wants to come back and rescue the Galaxy. And Wendy and I were talking before this.
But he's also intentionally trying to lower expectations, though, and keep them realistic, which obviously Twitter will not abide by.
No, there'll be zero chill from Twitter about Landon Donovan coming back. 34 years old, hasn't played a competitive game in 2 years. He doesn't solve a lot of problems for the LA Galaxy in terms of positioning. You could play him as a striker, which is great, but you already have a striker issue in the fact that, with Robbie Keane and Landon Donovan, that they could play the same position. They could have issues. You have Giovani dos Santos, who you still have to satisfy as well. Where's Gio going to play? Are the LA Galaxy going to go back to a 4-4-2? Does that make the most sense? How do you get Landon involved in a game at all? And by the way, he hasn't trained, like I said, he hasn't trained with the team. Wendy, I don't think he's in even close to game shape. I don't think he could play 15 minutes right now for a game. So how do you move him? And granted, that could be totally wrong. Maybe Landon's in excellent shape. Brian Dunseth seems to think that he could come back and do it. But how do you get Landon in shape or even close to being ready to come back in a game with 6 games left?
Well, I would say there's one way to look at this is from a straight economic sort of standpoint in terms of a value for dollar, in terms of what the LA Galaxy were going to do with $150,000 with 7 games left in the season. And from that perspective, I think it's a no-brainer.
Right.
Because even if there is only a 20 to 30% chance that Landon Donovan can make an impact on the game, it's still worthwhile to spend the money to have him play those last 7 games, because there's the outside chance that he scores a goal, does something remarkable in the half an hour that you can get out of him towards the end of the game, because you're correct. There's no way a player who's not played soccer in 2 years is going to have in him even a half, probably.
Right.
I think the best case scenario is that he substitutes in for Sebastian Lletget on Sunday, and we see glimmers of Landon Donovan, and around maybe the 70th minute he comes in, I'm thinking.
Yeah, see, listen, the LA Galaxy have said that Landon Donovan will be available for Sunday's game. I
think he'll be in the 18.
You would forgive me in thinking that is a financial gift to the LA Galaxy in the terms of, hey, Landon Donovan's going to be in the start. It'd be in the lineup, like in the 18, or could possibly be in the 18. Go buy your tickets. No, you saw the price value for tickets went from $13 to $36 just by virtue of the announcement of him coming back for Sunday's game. If you're selling tickets, you just pocketed, an 80% profit on what you potentially are going to sell them for. This is why we have you on the show, to do that quick math in your head.
I'm just saying there's financial reasons the LA Galaxy would love to have Landon Donovan come back. And if you're a conspiracy theorist like myself, you can devise a lot of, theories behind why is he coming back. He's playing number 26, and maybe they want to sell jerseys. Maybe the LA Galaxy has been disturbed by season ticket holders not renewing their membership. Maybe, there's you can speculate endlessly. I think personally, based on who Landon Donovan is as a player, that on a lark, he legitimately just decided,
I want to go play.
I think maybe I'll just go back to playing soccer for 6 games. Let's just see what happens. Because that is exactly the type of player he is. He is what if you're a lawyer and you're picking a jury, one of the terms that you commonly use is whether a person is an internal locus of control person versus an external locus of control person. And Landon Donovan is much more than other professional athletes. He is self-driven by his own internal dynamics. He is interested in what he cares about. He doesn't care what the world thinks of him. And so if he just makes the decision on a moment's notice, hey, I think I'd just like to go back for 6 games and see what happens, that is exactly exactly the type of thing that he would choose to do, without regard for whether the external world approves of it,
Right.
whether other people are going to be angry at him about it, whether other people are going to think it's a move for a desperate move, a move to feed his ego. He is just totally removed from the whole idea of what the world thinks of his personal motivations. And so I actually believe that is something that he could decide to do, just come back and not even he doesn't care about the money.
No.
$150,000 in the context of what he used to earn is nothing. And so it literally is just I think I'm just going to try and play some soccer.
Yeah, and quite honestly, if you're Bruce Arena, I don't know how you don't do this. It doesn't hurt the team to have Landon Donovan on it, at least in the terms of filling out that roster spot. That money was already accounted for. Again, it hurts the Galaxy none. And if in training he provides some sort of boost, if in the locker room he provides some sort of goodwill, or he's pumping these guys up, and regardless of what you think professional players need or don't need, some locker rooms work really well. Some locker rooms need just a little push. And yes, they're professionals, and you would expect 100% every time. I just argued with somebody. They're like, we better get 110% effort out of the Galaxy in the RSL game. I'm like, you know what? You'll be happy if you get 98% out of professional athletes in a regular game. Like even 90%.
And Bruce Arena actually, by reputation, gets more out of his players than other coaches. That's one of his virtues as a coach, is putting together and forming good, positive locker room dynamics within the LA Galaxy, much more so than a lot of teams in MLS. When you hear about dysfunctional locker rooms, it's rarely the LA Galaxy, because Bruce Arena, first of all, he's known for he loves relying on good veteran, dependable MLS people like Mike McGee,
Right.
Todd Donovan, who are sort of these reputable good guys of MLS. And second, because he's such an authoritative figure within the MLS hierarchy. Can you imagine a player mouthing off to Bruce Arena?
Yeah, no, I can't imagine his son ever even mouthing off to Bruce Arena. Kenny is there, and you would Kenny. Do you ever get mad at your? I'm sure he'd be like, I've never ever said a bad word to Bruce Arena. He'd just make you run laps. I mean, it would be miserable. He'd be like, all right, let's run some laps.
But it's true. I mean, can you imagine if you're Sebastian Lletget and you are possibly going to play in the same field or sub out for Landon Donovan, just having his presence in the locker room, what a kick that would be.
Yes.
To motivate you. I mean, maybe it's not such a thrill for Robbie Keane or Mike McGee, who played with him for years, but for, I don't know, if you're Raul Mendiola, if you're Emmanuel Boateng, if you're Sebastian Lletget, if you're someone who, maybe has looked up to Landon Donovan, it could be a real thrill for you to play on the same team with him.
Yeah, no, it could be, and I don't discount that just on the face of it. Just the fact that Landon is in this team and working with this team. I'll tell you, the locker room is different without Landon Donovan, and I can tell you that from personal experience just going in there and talking. All right, we have a call here real quick, Wendy, so we'll get back to you in a second. All right. Let's go to 323. Who's this?
Josh, Jose, what's going on?
How's it going, buddy? What do you got?
Well, it's incredible that they were able to pull this Landon Donovan signing off, but I just gotta get something off my chest. Since the Team Josh bandwagon has just been decreased to two members, which I think it's just me and you at this point, Josh.
Right.
We gotta, get this off our chest. Last night was probably Brian Rowe's worst performance ever as an LA Galaxy goalkeeper ever.
Yes.
I think that first goal, especially when he gave up the PK, that's, I'm not sure you remember the movie Dumb and Dumber, but when the guy asked, if I have 1 in 100 chance, and, she says more like 1 out of a million, that's kind of like the situation that happened yesterday. That kind of a mistake is a 1 in a million kind of chance you get to see in real life, because he waves off Baggio. He has zero pressure from Plus at the initial point. And then he just decides to take a bad first touch, and then he kind of just dives for it and gets a goal. So yesterday was definitely a turning point in the Team Wendy cabin, as everyone decided to kind of desert the Team Josh bandwagon, and they moved to Team Wendy. So I just wanted to give Wendy a props. Last night was the night which validated everything she kind of was mentioning in the previous podcast.
No, it was. All right.
Now,
yeah, but be quick. I got another call coming in. So what do you got?
Well, I just wanted to speculate that, Landon Donovan coming back, it's definitely going to be, I agree with Wendy. I think it's really just to, get people to renew their season tickets, because if you look at Twitterland, everyone's been complaining and, threatening not to renew. And I think this is kind of probably a ploy just to kind of give them a push to, jump the gun and renew. So this is why I gave my 2 cents on that.
All right, thanks, Jose. We appreciate it. Listen, I'm not gonna say that it's strictly for season tickets coming back, because I don't think that the LA Galaxy, honestly, I don't think they put that player, Landon Donovan, on the team just to do that. I do think that Bruce Arena thinks there's a possibility that Landon Donovan could make a difference, and if he can make a difference, Wendy, then you have something. Then even if he's,
why not do it, right? It's no harm, no foul. If he, it's a potential harm foul from Landon Donovan's perspective, because it could maybe do damage to his reputation, although that seems improbable.
I don't think he cares. So
yeah, he's not I don't know how much his legacy plays into his own mind. I'm sure he cares as a professional athlete, because all professional athletes are egotists to some extent.
Yes.
But he's not a guy who's obsessed with, I have my reputation harmed by me coming back and not working out. I think there's an outside chance that he makes an impact, and since we have no recourse, what are we going to do with this $150,000? Who are you going to bring in for the last 7 games of the season? So from the LA Galaxy's perspective, it's a risk worth taking. So, and is there an economic incentive? Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think the LA Galaxy, if you looked at the Forbes valuation that came out earlier this week, the LA Galaxy was valued by Forbes with an asset value of $265 million, and they estimated the revenues at $60 million a year. If you look at the overall salary cap, it's a little over $20 million, which means, even taking into account overhead costs, expenses, the LA Galaxy is not totally concerned with spending dollars here and there. It's MLS's roster rules and salary rules which prevent us from spending more money. It's not that the team is desperately concerned with its finances.
All right, we got another call here, so let's go ahead on over to 949. Who's this?
This is John, Flying Soccer Dad. What's going on, Josh?
Hey, John. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. This is this year's Wilhelmsen signing. That's my figuring.
I love that, John. I love that. That is exactly what this could be. I can't wait to tell everybody that I thought of that in about 10 minutes.
There you go. Right on. Hey, man. Good show. We'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Thanks, John. All right. You know what? John is going to win like some sort of amazing prize here real soon, because I think that might be the best call that we've gotten. John saying that Landon Donovan is this year's Christian Wilhelmsen signing is the most genius thing I have ever heard, and it's perfect, because Christian Wilhelmsen was the reason the LA Galaxy won an MLS Cup. The man couldn't score to save his life, but he looked like he was going to do it so many times they had to cover him, and that left other people open. So, and Robbie,
so that's the fear of God theory.
It is and even Brian Dunseth said it. He said that people are worried that Landon Donovan is going to be on the field regardless, because they don't know. They know what he was able to do whenever he was, in shape and doing those things. And even if he has a sliver of those or a moment of that could play into, how they have to plan around another player for the LA Galaxy.
So you're saying that if we were analogizing the LA Galaxy's 2016 season to Greek drama,
yes,
that Landon Donovan would be the deus ex machina that is introduced towards the end of the play.
Wendy, I was thinking the same thing earlier. I have no idea. Somebody get me a thesaurus or something. Where do we even look that up? All right, I got another call. Let's try to take one more here, and then I promise, Wendy, we'll let you talk some more. All right. Let's go to 805. 805, who's this?
Josh, this is Scott.
Scott, how's it going, buddy?
Not very good, because you guys are sounding like they're coming from a coworker's funeral. Landon Donovan is back on the Galaxy. Why aren't you more excited?
Are you excited about it, Scott? You sound like you're excited.
Are you? Well, it's obvious we're going to win the next 12 MLS Cups and probably the next 2 World Cups.
Right.
So, yeah, I'd say I'm pretty excited.
Honestly, what do you think his impact will be for the LA Galaxy in the last 6 games?
I think it's going to be very big in the last 2 to 4 games when he gets his fitness back.
Right.
We know that he won the beat test in the 2014 World Cup right before he was cut. He finished third. His athleticism and his endurance and him being in shape is not in question. And he's such an elite athlete, an elite player. Lexi Lawless talks about class permanent form is whatever.
Right.
Landon Donovan, he's just going to slide right in, and he's going to be the chance creator that we have missed. And I am very, very perturbed at Galaxy Land on Twitterverse and Team Josh and Team Wendy are not more excited for Landon Donovan, baby. Come on.
All right.
This is amazing.
All right, Scott. I will try to up the enthusiasm just a little bit. I appreciate the call. All right, buddy?
Okay. Bye, Josh.
All right. Scott is always fun to have on the show. I enjoy listening to Scott immensely all the time. So, that's, again, I think Scott has a view of what could be possible. And if Scott can view what's possible, then maybe other people need to view what's possible. Scott is not appreciative, Wendy, of our level of excitement.
Well, I see, but in some ways, I can appreciate fan skepticism. If you are someone who is critical, for example, of the LA Galaxy's tendency to always go towards veteran players as opposed to young players, isn't this a perfectly fair way to criticize the Galaxy? I mean, why are we resorting to pulling in another veteran, a retiree, adding to that the notion that MLS is a retirement league by going and getting a retired player when we have Raul Mendiola, we have Bradford Jameson, we have lots of young, talented players hungry for minutes who we don't get a lot of opportunities within the LA Galaxy system. I mean, that's a fair and valid criticism one could make of this move.
Absolutely, you could. And here's the thing. I mean, if you're going to take minutes away from somebody, who's it going to be? I'll be honest, I think I know who it might be, and it might be Robbie Keane, and that might make a lot of sense, especially as hopefully he gets healthy and can make it back for this Orlando game. I think that Orlando is a good target here, and we're going to start talking about this game. I think Orlando is a good target for Robbie Keane to get back, and if he's not back, then what is the serious injury that he has? I understood it looked like a groin tweak at some point after the Chicago game and before the Vancouver game. He did go to Ireland. He did play 56 minutes. Let's not just wave our wand over that. Now, that being said, I would fully expect Robbie Keane to play 56 minutes for Ireland in his very last international game with whatever ailment he had, and it wouldn't really matter. If his leg was broken, he would have played 56 minutes for Ireland. So I'm not gonna look at that as a criticism of him, because that was super important to his career. You have to understand that's wrapping up. His chances to do this slimming down now. I mean, this is all wrapping up nicely for Robbie Keane, but he needs to get back on the field for the LA Galaxy. They need him.
If you're a fan, Robbie Keane has played in something like 13 games this season.
Yes.
I mean, you need one of Bruce Arena's major pivot points as a coach is that come playoff time, you need your DPs to be DPs. And if your DPs are not DPs, then you will not go far in the playoffs. And this year, I don't know if any of the Galaxy's DPs have been good. I mean, you can give a lot of credit to the supporting cast in the LA Galaxy's 2016 season. Joel Van Dam, Nigel de Jong, AJ De La Garza, Sebastian Lletget. These
Brian Rowe,
Emma Boateng. Lots of players to give credit to.
Right.
Not really the DPs though. And if there is any truth to the Bruce Arena adage that come playoff time you need your DPs to be DPs, then the LA Galaxy's prospects do not look good.
Yeah, and so I'm okay with Landon Donovan being in addition to those if that's going to be the case. I don't think you were getting anybody else. This isn't like, we could have had somebody else. So that's not an argument you can make, and it passes any water with me. I think that Landon Donovan can come in, do a very specific role for this team in the playoffs. I'm still not even holding out hope for the last 6 games. That's just me. Whenever he shows up and he plays, that's fine. I'll be happy. No problems with that. 20
minutes is really all you can expect of a player who's been out for 20 minutes maybe. This is my guess. I'm going to hypothecate here that I think that my prediction is Landon Donovan is in the 18 and substitutes in for Sebastian Lletget around the 73rd minute. And can you imagine the roar at the StubHub Center when that substitution occurs?
Why did I have to miss this game? Why am I not, Wendy? Why am I not at this?
I'm gonna be there. I am gonna be there with bells on. Excited.
You know how many home games I miss a year? It's like 1, maybe 2. Like 2 is max for me, and I can't be there this weekend.
Excited.
I got family things I have to take care of, which is fine and wonderful and perfect. Let's not even get started. I'm also, by the way, this is your heads up. I'm giving everybody a heads up right now. The end of the season. The very last game. After the very last game of the season, I am going on my honeymoon for 2 weeks. You're
gonna miss the Galaxy's playoff run.
Probably, because I don't think they're going very far, at least not right now. But if they catch hot, which I expect them to, because that'll clearly be what happens whenever I'm not there. I've already been told by my fiance, my future wife, that there will be no recording of podcasts while I am on my honeymoon. And I thought it would be fun to record a podcast from France and from London, from Paris and from London. But apparently she doesn't think that's cute. So I'll keep working on it, and we'll see if I can eventually get something. But there's going to be a gap there. So y'all have been warned ahead of time. All right, maybe Wendy, I'll give you the keys to the podcast. We'll figure out how for you to just put stuff out by yourself. And, then I apologize to everybody. I have no control over it.
And then I'll never return them.
That's right. That's right. This is my retirement plan.
This is a coup d'etat. It's going to be a full coup d'etat.
I like that. Wendy, we need to get like a lawyered like soundbite for like lawyered whenever Wendy uses big words or big analogies. So that way Josh can feel.
Or in this case, French words.
French words. Yeah, don't use. I'm already worried about that whole thing as well. All right. LA Galaxy facing off against Orlando City. I'm trying to think.
First game, the very first time that Orlando has played in Los Angeles. So.
It is. But and if you remember, and I know Tommy Meyer remembers, if you remember, the LA Galaxy have only played Orlando once in their entire history. It was a trip to Orlando where Tommy Meyer had the worst game I've ever seen a professional athlete have, and after a certain time, it wasn't even his fault anymore. The LA Galaxy lost, got blown out, got run off the field 4-0 by Orlando. It was one of the most beautiful disasters I've ever seen. And Tommy,
I think it might have been even worse. I think it would have been like 5-1 or something like that. It was a horrible game.
It was 4-0. I actually have it written down.
Okay.
I promise.
But this is Orlando's first trip here, and they actually just had another road game. They're doing like a cross-country road game.
A nasty
trip.
one. Oh, up to Montreal. Orlando, figure this one out. Orlando to Montreal, already a very long trip. Montreal to LA, one of the longest trips in U.S. professional sports, by the way. So they are traveling, or they have already traveled to LA. They did beat Montreal quite handily, by the way.
They played really well.
CoG had his second consecutive brace. By the way, he had never had a brace before with Orlando. He never scored 2 goals. I'm like, is that a real stat? Somebody that was actually put out as a real stat that he had never scored a brace before for Orlando, and he's done it twice in 2 games. So good, you get to catch a hot CoG. That's just what everybody wants to do.
Yeah, I know. This is going to be a high-profile game. You got CoG. You got a potential return of Landon Donovan. You got Orlando's first game in LA. I bet it's going to be a sellout now.
Jason Kreis is the coach of Orlando now.
That's right, the Orlando coach. This is a lot of potential news stories for Fox to have a lot of fun with.
And I am not going to be there. Wonderful. All right, this game, Sunday, September 11th, 2016, at 4 p.m. This game, as Wendy said, is going to be broadcast live on Fox Sports 1, nationally televised game. The LA Galaxy are 10-4-14 for 44 points, third in the Western Conference, tied with Real Salt Lake, who is the second-place team in points, but they're losing on the tiebreaker. Orlando is 7-7-13. Hey, look, we found a team that almost has as many draws as us. That's fun. 7-7
we excel at draws.
Yeah, we do. We're good at drawing. 7-7-13 for 34 points, and 6th in the Eastern Conference, by the way, with their beatdown of Montreal. They climbed into a playoff spot, so Orlando's going to be wanting to take it to the LA Galaxy. As they came in, I will just, caveat the game that Montreal played 4-1, that Evan Bush did get ejected. The Montreal goalkeeper got ejected in the 51st minute. I don't think it should have been an ejection, by the way. I saw it, but hey, what do I know? I thought that Olave should have been ejected in the RSL game.
Yeah, I know.
Come at me, MLS Disciplinary Committee. Come at me.
Correct
Current form
them.
for the LA Galaxy, they have 1 win, 1 loss, and 4 draws in their last 6 games. Orlando has 2 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws. So there you go. That's how you have it. The goal-scoring leaders. You said none of the DPs were having a great year, and I agree with you. Giovani dos Santos' stats keep popping out at me, and I keep thinking, am I missing something? Because he has 12 goals and I think 9 assists right now on the year.
It seems good.
If I told you that, without you having watched him, you would say, all right, I'd take that.
Yeah, and yet it seems... And yet I still have, at least through the season, I've had all these long stretches where I go, where is he? I don't see him. Where is he? I don't see him on the field, even though he is on the field.
He was saving it up for his favorite place to play, Sandy, Utah. That's where he was doing it, so that's where we got. Listen, I told you that in previous podcasts that I thought the LA Galaxy would lose against Real Salt Lake. The draw is good.
I was hoping for a draw, actually. It's just when we went up and we were over 90 minutes, and I was like, oh, we're going to win!
Yeah, that was your fault. So we can... Actually, it's Chris Hibble, who works for the LA Galaxy, who tweeted at halftime that the LA Galaxy had not lost a game when they were leading at halftime. They were 7-0-0. leading at halftime, and so now they're 7-0-1. Chris Hibble, he even called to say that he wasn't the jinx, and then he called back to say he was the jinx on our COG hotline. So Chris, there's your shout out, your 2 minutes of fame. Now, don't ever tweet anything out like that again. So Chris works over in the LA Galaxy PR department. So Chris, you'll survive. Everybody who works at the LA Galaxy's name is Chris, by the way. Just letting you.
There's a lot of Chris Klein,
Chris Thomas, Chris Glidden.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh my God, so many Chris's.
Yeah, when you yell Chris, you have to yell the last name in the press box whenever you do it. All right. So that's the game. This is a game the LA Galaxy need to win. This is a game I had 3 points on. Orlando City is traveling from Orlando to Montreal to LA. They are tired. They played a very big game against an Eastern Conference opponent, which was bigger for them than this LA Galaxy game is. They should be tired. The LA Galaxy should win this game, even with the players that are going to be available for the LA Galaxy. And no, Landon Donovan does not play in this game, according to Josh. Because I just don't see, he hasn't trained with the team. He's going to train for the first time with the team on Friday.
I can't imagine him not playing.
He's training for the first time with the team on Friday.
Why would they do this to us? Make this announcement and say like he will be available. I mean, obviously they want to sell tickets, but
he's available for selection. That's all it means. There's lots of people who are available for selection.
I think he's in the 18. I think he subs in, with 10 minutes left or 15 minutes left. I just think, because just imagine that moment. The reason you're saying he won't play is because you're not going to be there.
Yeah.
If you were going to be there, you would be saying he's going to play. You're trying to make yourself feel better.
Maybe, but it doesn't. Listen, for me, Bruce Arena has rules, and Bruce Arena says if you don't train with the team during the week, then you don't usually play. Landon Donovan hasn't trained. He is in no position. If the LA Galaxy sub him in, they better be up by 4 goals, because I don't know that he'll have any legs, and I don't know if he has any touch, and you shouldn't expect it. He will be available for selection as a nice way of saying, please buy these tickets. And you can buy a number 26 jersey while you're here as well. Landon Donovan taking the number 26 jersey, by the way, because it is the date of his son's birthday, which I think is January 26th. I'm doing this off of memory.
January 27th.
No, it's 26.
All right.
So 26, which is why it's 26 on the jersey. And then it was also, I think, his first number at Leverkusen whenever he went. So
Bayer Leverkusen, when he was 17.
Yeah, so I think that's correct. But I'm doing it off of memory. I read it and I was like, oh, I'm going to remember this for the podcast. And of course I didn't, because I didn't write it down. Because all the news has changed 20 times since I wrote the show notes last night. Wendy.
I think Josh is just frustrated that he's going to miss the Orlando game, and so he's trying to talk himself down in terms of what an incredible game it's going to be.
If there is,
because I think that moment when Landon subs on
is
with whatever 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I think the StubHub Center goes insane.
It's going to be special. It's going to be special, that's for sure. All right, let me get to one thing that he says as he has to jump away from the microphone because he had the information very far away. I want to shout out to Robert Mora. Robert Mora has a Canon sports photography workshop. It's one that they do with the LA Galaxy. This has happened before. It is an excellent workshop. All right, the dates are the September 10th, 11th, and 12th. So coming up right away, if you're still interested in this, you need to go on our website, cornerofthegalaxy.com, look for the show notes for this episode, and I will put this link there. All right, listen, it's not cheap, but this is what you get to do. All right. Saturday, you're going to get teaching instruction on shooting, followed by one coaching member, Robert Mora and John Lawrence, both photographers for the LA Galaxy, at an LA Galaxy 2 versus Sacramento FC game at StubHub Center. All right. Sunday, you do behind-the-scenes look at the LA Galaxy game day photography, and you get to shoot the LA Galaxy versus Orlando game. Monday, they critique, review, and print some of your best images on Canon's state-of-the-art 24x36 printers. Canon's going to provide all participants with professional lenses and cameras for the weekend, and they may not do another workshop like this until 2018. This was also featured on Backstage Galaxy, so that's all the info you sort of need to know. Again, go to our website, cornerofthegalaxy.com. In the show notes, you need to sign up. Listen, it's like $750 for this. This is a masterclass workshop. This is for people who have some photography skills, not Josh with his iPhone with his thumb in front of the lens. That's probably not me, but I have talked to people who are photographers and who have taken this class, and it's absolutely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You get to shoot 2 games in the course of a weekend. So Robert Mora, a great friend of the show, go out and support him at this workshop, the Canon workshop. Him and John Lawrence, both excellent photographers. If you see photos from the LA Galaxy, it's them. Most of the time, Steve Carrillo is one of our photographers. Stephanie Romero shoots a lot for LA Galaxy too. So those are the photographers you see. You're going to be learning from the absolute best from Robert Mora and John Lawrence. That's my one plug for those guys because they do a lot here at the show. And Wendy, anything else? You want a prediction for Orlando? Let's make ourselves stupid. Go ahead.
I am going to predict an LA Galaxy win.
What's the score?
I'm going to say the Galaxy win 3-1.
3-1. Who scores the first goal for the LA Galaxy?
I'm going to say it's a Giovani dos Santos goal.
Gio riding the hot streak, getting goal number 13 to open it up. Emmanuel Boateng could score another goal. Ema's just fired me up lately.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing
And then my third goal is going to be a
Landon Donovan
goal.
There we go. Now I know that your prediction is wrong, so I won't have to worry about it. The LA Galaxy get the victory 2-0. LA Galaxy get a shutout with the reconstructed back line. If they play AJ De La Garza in this game, they will get a shutout. If they don't play AJ De La Garza in this game, they will not get a shutout. It's that simple, Bruce Arena. Anytime you want to talk about it, I'm here.
Sound like you're almost threatening him. You better play AJ De La Garza.
It's very simple. The LA Galaxy were having defensive problems. Then Robbie Rogers got hurt and AJ De La Garza came in and the defensive problems went away for a while. AJ De La Garza is the reason for that. Ask Omar Gonzalez how good AJ De La Garza is. That's all I have to say about that. All right. Wendy, anything else that you want to talk about before we get out of here?
I will see LA Galaxy faithful on Sunday for this Orlando game because it is going to be awesome.
All right. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me in American Soccer Now and Corner of the Galaxy and on Twitter at Barnes1.
All right, if you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at Jay Guesman, JGUESMAN, at Galaxy Podcast. That's me 99.9% of the time. Oh, Sunday. I got to figure out a way to get to that game. LA Galaxy versus Orlando Sunday at 4 p.m. Game is on Fox Sports 1. You're going to want to be there. Everybody's going to want to be there. Will Landon Donovan play? I have no idea, honestly. No, I wouldn't play, but hey, I'm not Bruce Arena. All right, for Miss Wendy Thomas, we want to thank Brian Dunseth for coming on the show. I'm Josh Guesman, and you've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. And for all of your independent LA Galaxy news, discussion, and entertainment, including this podcast, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Fans, thanks for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.